Well, the Jesus story touches close to it, but says whatever you believe in your heart, it will be done unto you. The emphasis is on, of course, if you're in difficulty, bring it to God. I mean, religious people in general know this, that if you're in difficulty, you should pray about it. In other words, start to get your mind onto an awareness of God. You're asking, and when you ask, you're sort of visualizing the answer you want, which is the removal, of course, of whatever the problem is. And you're starting to think of that in terms of God rescuing you, changing it. Well, that is the changing of the dream. You're pulling from God different thoughts to what you were struggling with in the dream, or in the reality, as you call it, this daily living, what you call being awake. But you're changing what you're thinking by the practice of praying. It's a bit stronger than that. He's saying in the story, Jesus is saying, you should be believing that you receive what you're asking for. In some sense, that means then very clear that you should be believing that he does respond, So you're thinking of him responding, which is, of course, changing the dreams, changing the thoughts. Even this reality is the dream. It's a bit like when he says to the rich young ruler, what should I do to have eternal life? He says, well, if you would enter into life, you're not alive yet. You think you are. But you're still in this other situation that you call life, but it's, in a sense, more like a dream. But if you would enter into life, keep the commandments. In other words, keep to the values that you understand to be godly. Because that will give you an expectation of there'll be a godly consequence, because you think that way. If I do the godly thing, godly things will happen. Because God is just and will reward accordingly, so to speak. But it may not be so different. Not certain. What do you think? Well, I think it's a more positive approach, Marshall. In that, if you're visualizing, if you're strongly believing that you're receiving what you ask for, well, you're dramatically changing your thoughts because you're thinking of the very thing you want to be thinking to happen. It's not now a scream to wake up, it's a commanding of the dream while you stay in it. And isn't that so in reality, or what we call reality? The fact that I'm trusting in God doesn't make me suddenly wake up and all this was a dream. Typically, I stay here. But the dream is immeasurably better now. I get the miraculous, or I get a train of events that is pretty miraculous, really, and gives me relief or change or something really blessed, rather than what I was struggling with. And I say, trusting in God seems to work. Yes, indeed. But the advice in the Jesus story is pray and if you like, think strongly on, believe that you have received what you asked for. And you can say to this mountain, move, and it will obey you. Now, I think he sort of implies in your heart, in your heart. In other words, it's a very strong thought that has an emotion attached to it, an overwhelming belief. But this overwhelming trust builds just with the practice of thanking God. That gives you more faith and trust too. I think we're on track, don't you? Thank you, Heavenly Dad.